Welcome to The Foundry, where leaders are forged daily. Each week we investigate themes of leadership, entrepreneurship, and mindset with some of the greatest minds in real estate. And now, the data scientist of real estate, George Roberts.
Welcome back, passionate investors. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Peggy Beauregard. She is the founder of the Nest Egg Builder, passive investing experts. We're going to have a great conversation today about how you can build your wealth. We're going to focus specifically on multi-generational wealth. And we're also going to talk about a great upcoming book that she has planned. It's going to help parents have what she calls the conversation. No, not that conversation. This is the other conversation that parents don't have with their kids, the conversation about money. So I know you're going to enjoy that. And so at this point, I would just love to welcome Peggy to the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's such an honor to be here. I am so thrilled to be with you.
Well,
So
likewise, I've been on your show before, and I think it's a great show, by the way. Check it out, the Nest Egg Builder. And you can also find that on YouTube, by the way. So I guess, hey, we're on the topic of the Nest Egg Builder. Why don't we just start with that? A lot of people on this show, a lot of our listening audience, that is to say, is aware of alternative assets, passive investing, etc. There are a lot of people you can work with. Everybody has a little bit of a different approach. So why don't you tell us about the Nest Egg Builder, what you do there, and how that might be different from other people in the field?
Okay, thank you very much. That's so nice of you. So we created this company because there's so many people that don't know where to go to find properties to invest in, and they don't know who to trust. So we thought we would start this business. We would be a third independent company, arm's length from all the different syndicators across the country, and specifically in commercial real estate and construction, because that's also commercial. I invested in commercial myself, and I look at every deal, opportunities, we like to call them, as me investing. So I look at it from my viewpoint. Would I put my money into this deal? And then we talk to all the people that have said they want to learn more and they'd like to invest with us. And we send out each of the opportunities so they could look at it. And the investor would go in as a limited partner, and then they would get all these tax deductions, which you don't get in the stock market unless there's a capital gain. And then you get a sort of a not such a good, you get a capital gain 1099, I guess, and then you have to pay taxes on that, even if you didn't sell your own, if you're like in a mutual fund. So real estate's different. It's very different. You get tax advantages, you get depreciation, you get income. We think that's a really great things to have. And we like to invest out of our Roth IRAs because the Roth is after-tax dollars. And we also learned a lot of people don't even know about something called a self-directed IRA, whether it be a traditional or a Roth. A lot of people do know about a 401k, but I bet they don't know about a 401k Roth. So companies are now doing that, and it's really important to be in a Roth, because how much do you really get to deduct? Have you asked your accountant, how much do I get to deduct by taking it in my traditional rather than in my Roth? Like that. Pay the taxes now, because every dollar your traditional earns, you will owe taxes on that also. People don't think in the future. And I guess that's well, I do. I think about the
That's
future
huge.
all the time.
I got to say, Peggy, I'm huge into spreadsheets, okay? Scientist, later an award-winning data scientist. I model all this out. And, it's just amazing. There's a reason that Warren Buffett says that his favorite hold period is forever. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, model it out, or maybe you'll come and see my upcoming book, which is, if you'll notice, I did update the headline of the show. So now I say passionate investors, because I am out there pushing my book. Will come out very, very soon. Passionate living through passive investing. And I think in a future book is where I'm going to focus on all those spreadsheets. So all those geeks or near geeks, if you just like to enjoy the benefits of spreadsheets without having to get your hands dirty. But anyway, yeah, that's huge when you're talking about the taxes. And here's another one. You mentioned 401ks. Now, if you turn that 401k into a solo 401k, that's even better than your Roth IRA, because now, and hey, don't quote me on this. I'm not the tax expert, but I think you get out of the UBIT, don't you? I mean, there's one of those important taxes that the solo 401k is not susceptible to. So I mean, I love IRAs. I love Roth IRAs. Self-directed is even better, and those solo 401ks are just amazing.
Yes,
Anyway,
they
sorry.
are.
Too much.
No,
We're not losing
no.
people.
All the information. Look, most people don't know about this. That's why we have people like you come on our show every week. We have different IRA companies come on our show. We have tax people come on our show. The idea is to educate. The more you know, the better you go, right? You've got tools. You don't even know you've got a tool that you could use. So that's why we have the show. We want people to
Yeah.
learn. We want them to come, enjoy themselves, ask questions. What they don't get is this is a live show, so to speak, on Zoom, and they can ask all the questions they want. It's
Yeah, well, the questions are great. I think you always limit it to about 20 or maybe 30 minutes at the most, because you really do like that. But I hope you don't mind if I let people into a little secret. So you do let people ask questions, might go on 10 or 20 minutes or so, but then usually, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of shut off the cameras and then people ask even more questions. So you should definitely come find your show on YouTube. But go to the actual show, because yeah, people are just a little more unburdened when the camera's off, it seems.
Well, when we record it, we put it on YouTube. So if you have a private question or you want to
Yeah,
talk about your money, you don't want that recorded, and we want to
yeah,
protect people. And I
right.
actually had somebody say some things the other day, and then I stopped recording, and he says, "Oh, I forgot we were recording." I'm like, "We'll see if we could get that taken out like that, because there's just some things you don't want recorded, and
Yeah.
there's some people that don't care." So
Well, there you go. And that's why I'm happy that I have my wonderful assistant. I hope she's smiling as she edits this. Hopefully, there's nothing we have to edit out of today's show, but sometimes we do edit for clarity.
sure.
And that's always a very, very good thing to be able to do. But let me get back to the nest egg builders. Make sure people really understand. I mean, you can work with one syndicator, and that's great. You might get somebody that you know, like, and trust, you know how they run things, and that's good. You're not actually running these assets, but you're using your extraordinary network gained through your entire lifetime of investing. You're able to diversify across geographies. And as you mentioned, I think you mentioned briefly, across asset classes, which is just perfect. I'm a multifamily guy, and I invest in multifamily deals, but do I want all my money in multifamily? Of course not, right? Multifamily got hit quite a bit harder than residential this time. And people who had their money in residential real estate, I mean, unless they lost it over a very short period of time, they were able to hang on. And they saw that asset, in most cases, even if you didn't do anything, were significantly more than when they purchased it. And so, yeah, I certainly, I'm in construction as well, and I think that's great. I mean,
Mm.
really, that's the pinnacle of real estate. There's nobody out there building something new. There's nothing for the rest of us to do. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of great things to be said for that. It's, definitely a different model. Most of the people that I have on the show, they're just doing one thing, and that's great. But it's not the same as being able to get all that diversification across geography and asset class.
Well, that's the fun part. I mean, my dad was in the service, so I grew up, we moved all over the United States. I still have people I know, even when I was 8, 9 years old living in Ohio. I still have met people. Plus, I was in the exchange world for years, so I know a lot of real estate people across the country. So I have boots on the ground, so to speak, almost everywhere. And I can always pick up the phone and say, "Hey, will you actually drive by this property and make sure it's there?" I mean, it shows on Google Maps, but you never know because they don't always update things, right? So is that property still there? But
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I know people across, and there's you could put the same amount of money into a commercial asset class that you would into a single family home, but because there's 10 other people investing with you, you're going to make so much more money if you're in a commercial asset class, like a multifamily or a self-storage or a shopping center, because a bunch of you are going in and buying a multi-million-dollar property that cash flows at 8 or 9 or 10 or 20% annual return. So it pays to do it. I had no idea till I invested in one and I went, wow, this is absolutely spectacular. My first investment, I was getting 10% on, and I'm like, oh my God, I never looked back.
Yeah, you got to love it. And those economies of scale, they're beautiful. And here's another thing, it keeps a lot of people out, right? You have this limiting belief. How can I invest in commercial real estate? Whether you're limited partner or general partner, whatever your preferred approach, I like both, by the way. You really have to overcome that. Most people, when they think of real estate, they think of that rundown house down the street. Hey, maybe we should buy that and fix it up. It's not a bad way to go. I'm not going to put down anybody's way of making money. A lot of people make money in the real estate business, but I got to agree with you 100%. If you can get into commercial, there's a lot fewer players on the field. Once you become sophisticated, or you pair up with somebody, partner up with somebody like Peggy who understands the game, and then all of a sudden you are playing a brand new ball game.
Yeah, the other thing people think, oh, I've got to have so much money, but they have family and they have friends. Why don't they put like a LLC together and they all put their 10 or $20,000 into it and gather their 100,000 or 50 or whatever it is and go in as a business. Businesses get other write-offs, So you might not just be in passive if you could do some other things also in that same LLC. There's just all kinds of advantages. Again, you need to talk to your tax advisor. I'm not a tax advisor. Maybe should have done that, but oh God, not me. This is far more fun. I love talking to people and working with people. People are amazing. They're brilliant. They're nice. I just think it's really a great place to be able to support people and show them how to fulfill their dreams of being financially free.
Yeah, I would have to say that working with people has got to be one of the best things in this business. Of course, I love real estate and the nitty gritty of it all, managing the assets, assembling the team. Of course, that's people too. But yeah, being able to work with limited partners, people who, hey, they're just really good at what they do. And whether they're a business leader in the corporate world, or maybe they run their own business, might be in IT, they've got money, and it just doesn't really make sense for them to go out and then necessarily run the asset, but they've got this money to invest, and why not optimize it? Why not diversify it? I mean, the stock market is wonderful. People talk about the volatility. That's the downside of the stock market, but it's also the upside too. But if you don't have your money diversified, well, what do you do when the stock market goes down by 50%? How do you capitalize on that volatility? You can't unless you have some other source of cash flow, W-2, business, or real estate, etc.
Absolutely. I'm all for that. People
Yeah.
people let fear, they think they can't do it. And part of it is they don't know who to talk to. It's the same. That's why I'm doing the book I'm doing, because people tell me all the time, my parents never talked to me about money. Well, guess what? Neither did my parents talk to me about money. But remember, when I was 5 years old, I talked to my grandmother and told her I was going to marry a millionaire. And she didn't give me any advice as to what to do, nor did my mother, who was sitting there also. So I didn't learn about money until I taught myself. And then you're already, in your 30s and 40s, and you've lost all that time value of money. If my grandparents had talked to me when I was 8 years old and told me ways about money and how money works, I could have probably been a millionaire by the time I was 30, because I don't sit around and do nothing. I go for it. That's why I've started this, like I'm calling it a mastermind, the family investing mastermind. for the multi-generational families. So we've got 2 families right now that are 3 generations, and we're just talking to them about investing, budgeting, investing, how to do your due diligence, like all of that, so that they can move forward. So they're a family, so they could put all their money together in a LLC or however they choose to do it, a partnership, and invest, go buy some properties or become a limited partner. They have lots of choices, but they want to learn what to do so that they can move forward. And I mean, I've been in the business for 40 years and I love, can't tell you how much I love real estate and people. They go together
I love
really
it. There you go. And you get into commercial real estate and you get to put the two together. Okay, so our title here today is Family Investing for Generations. Let me just tie that together with what you were just saying. A lot of people, they never become an author because they think, hey, I'm not an expert. But just ask yourself, what do your friends or business associates ask you? That's what you're an expert in.
Mhm.
And like Sal Khan, he started Khan Academy because was it his niece or somebody in his family kept asking him about math, and he would make these little videos, and he realized he was really good at it. So you get questions about all kinds of things in finance, but particularly about, how do families protect their wealth? How do you protect it across generations, et cetera, et cetera? And then boom, then that's what you find yourself writing about. My own personal rule is that if I find myself answering the same question again and again, I should either make myself a YouTube video if it's something short and direct people to it, or write a book. That's the way I think really to leverage your time. So, I mean, you are a true veritable expert, of course, but for all you people out there who are listening or watching right now that think, hey, I'm not an expert in anything, ask yourself this question. What do people ask me? And I bet that you're more of an expert than you think. So
That's
just a
right,
little
we
aside
are.
from one author to another.
Talent, right, we all have talents. Here we go back to, I keep going back to real estate. People are like, well, I don't know enough about real estate. I need to get educated. No, you don't. Yes, you do need to get educated, but you don't have to go through the education process of this $100,000 to get educated. You find the right people like George, like myself, who know about real estate that can guide you into not making a mistake, not going through the pitfalls that we all went through, so that you can invest in real estate without the education, because you learn how to do the due diligence, you learn how to check on backgrounds, you learn what's the right thing for you, you learn how to diversify. I'm 100% diversified in real estate. I know people think I'm crazy, but look, Warren Buffett's not in real estate. He's 100% in stock. Right? If he's
Pretty
in
much,
real
but
estate,
he buys
he's.
operating businesses, and he talks a lot about this farm that he bought too.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, his son owns one
as an
too.
operating business as well, but it's a little bit real
Hmm.
estate. But yeah, the guy, he knows. I like in some ways even more than Buffett is Munger, and Munger will talk relentlessly about his circle of competence,
Mhm.
and even a guy as bright as him. I mean, his kids described him as a book with arms. But he would tell you that he has this little tiny circle of competence and he stays in it. And that's why he does so well. So I
And
guess
I
there's a
miss
lot there.
him.
I'm really saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with figuring out what you're good at and staying in your lane, and be modest. I mean, if somebody like Munger can say that he has a tiny circle of competence, I don't know how the rest of us should be operating. I mean, the guy was a genius.
Yep, he certainly was. Hey, well, Warren picked a great
Yes.
partner, didn't he?
That's right.
Really great
Well, yeah, and
partner.
as you were saying about partnering up, it's huge. People do spend a lot of money on these real estate coaching programs. And, if you get in, and you can get in with reasonably small minimums, you get to learn a whole lot. And that's very, very different than just plunking your money down and then hoping that that person really follows through and gives you what you need. It still takes a lot of initiative, and there's really no guarantees. But yeah, if you invest with somebody like Peggy, you're almost certain to make some decent money, and you will learn too, even as a
Yes.
limited partner. I learn from every limited partner deal that I go through, and it all gets back to the communication. You invest with people that communicate, and you'll learn not only from their successes, I hope, but also from the failures. When things get rough, see how they deal with that. And that's a real seminar in real estate, possibly better than what you're getting from your mentor. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we want people to avoid any of the downside if they can, like that. I mean, I get calls, I always get the calls afterwards, like, I lent this person some money. Well, did you get it in writing? No. Or, yeah, I got something in writing. Did you record it? No. I mean, it's just little things that people don't do that they could protect themselves. How do you know how good this person is that you're lending money to? Oh, they're friends. They're friends. Well, friends are great to have friends, but you can't lend them money unless you know that you've got everything in place that you're going to get paid back. That's why you have what we call security. So if you're going to lend money, you're going to record against the property. So if they don't pay you back, you could go foreclose on the property. Now
100%, yeah.
you're in charge of that property. So do you know enough about that property so that you can manage it? So you got to think about that before you lend somebody money. And you have to be willing to foreclose. That makes it tough. And that's why people do things because they're nice, right? That's what I said about people. We're nice people, but don't do.
You want to dot your I's and cross your T's, Peggy, so you can remain nice. That's why I prefer to
Call
loan
me
money to
first. Talk to
acquaintances.
me before you do that.
Yeah, I prefer to
Please.
loan to acquaintances rather than friends. And yeah, getting it in writing. I mean, we really shouldn't have to say this on this show, but I know you're right. I mean, doesn't it happen all the time?
Happens all the time because people don't know enough about money because the parents didn't talk to them about it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Okay, yeah. Well, one last thing about your book, I think we should probably say before we move on. I just love it that you're doing this. You're making it, as you said, simple. I think you said you got up to 30 chapters. That doesn't sound so simple, but you got quotes, additional resources, and then thinking time, action steps. So this is really not just about you got to educate yourself, but about taking action. I love that you're working to bridge that gap.
Well, it's one thing, right? You need to exercise every day, right? Do
Yeah.
you exercise? So that's what the
Right.
book's about. It's not just about now you know
Mhm.
that there's Roth IRAs out there, self-directed IRAs. Now go open one, right? There's the action step. Go
Good.
go put $5 in and you've got one. It's just simple little things. I know you're laughing, but
I know I'm laughing because
in
I've been through it,
action.
Peggy. I've been through it, and you and I both, right? I mean, one of the things that I write about is I call it the great investors feedback loop. And it really is the great investors feedback loop. It's about going out and learning from other people. If you try to make every mistake on your own, I mean, to be experienced, yes, you have to go out, you have to make mistakes. But if you learn everything by making a mistake on your own, you're never going to get very far. You've got to go learn from other people. And a book, and we were mentioning this just before we started, right? A book, how long does it take you to write? You don't have to spit out a figure. A long time, right? But how long does it take to read? A few hours, right?
Mhm.
A few hours. And you can take all of this distilled wisdom from a career. And my standard for a book is, look, if I read a book and it gives me one new idea to pursue, or it saves me from making one mistake, it was well worth $10 or $20, whatever it costs to get that in my hands.
Right.
All right,
Good,
awesome.
good,
Just want to
good.
make sure people know how to reach out to you. What's the best way to reach out to Peggy Beauregard?
Well, how about my email address, which is peggy@thenesteggbuilder.com. That's the best way. And you can always get me through the website also, which is thenesteggbuilder.com. There's a place you could sign up there.
Beautiful. And I want to thank
And
you.
attend our shows. Come attend our shows.
Yes, do it. Do it. It's always a fun group you get together. And I just want to thank you warmly for coming down here today to share your knowledge and experience with our audience. Thank you, Peggy.
It was fun. Thank you so much. It's such an honor, George. I'm so happy to be.
Likewise, always an honor to talk to you.
Thank you.